So this is quite literally a warts and all production, living alone. I've come up to the bathroom to escape the noise of the washing machine as it starts to go through its cycle so I can talk to you. But yes, of course, you know, living alone, you've got to wash your clothes, haven't you? And the great thing about living alone now, and this is about me living alone and the things that I'm discovering as I go through this now singular solo life journey for the moment, is that whereas I wasn't washing my son or any of my children's clothes for a long time, I mean, George had left home, Stanley had left home, Billy and Sharifa, my son and his girlfriend, had been here, but of course they would use the washing machine frequently. And so hence, you know, trying to pick your time when you could get the washing in. Now, of course, I can do it whenever I like. I don't have any set times. I like to do the washing when I'm here. I don't like actually leaving the washing machine running when I'm not here, just in case there's a flood. You always hear of these things. I'm in the bathroom here. My bathroom is a mess. I know that. People have said, "Oh my God, Richard, it's..." You know, but then some people live in palatial places, I think. And some people, like me, just live in quite humble, tired places. This is a cupboard. Inside the cupboard and above is where the water tank is. And in the water tank, there's a bullcock. And on occasions, that bullcock has got stuck. And I've been away and had a phone call from my son Billy and said, "Oh, there's water teeming in down into the kitchen. It's come down here through the floor into the kitchen," and he's not known what to do. And I've said, "Well, turn the water off." And he said, "Well, what do you mean?" And it's like, yeah, okay, that's lesson number one, isn't it? Always show your kids, if you're not in, how to turn off the water at the mains and also the electricity at the what do you call it, the meter thing, the fuse box, click, so that you can. I think that's an absolutely fundamental thing. So I hate being away and having these things potentially going. And in theory, you could get a bit paranoid, couldn't you? You could go and just continually, I mean, I could go off if I went for a few days on a trip and turn the water off. My dad used to do that. He used to turn all the water off whenever they went, turn the electric off. I guess the fridge is the biggest issue, but you could isolate all the fuse boxes so that there's no fire or leak when you're away. I don't know, but it's worth telling the kids that, isn't it? Definitely. And so, for the bedroom scene. This is where, of course, I bring all the young fillies in of an evening. Or maybe they're young men, who knows? But I better leave that a mystery, hadn't I? What I get up to. No, of course, this is where I come to bed when I'm exhausted from making my videos. I'm up here because of the noise of the washing machine. I want to get this video done because I've got a number of other things to do. But I haven't shown the bedroom before. I suppose it's an interesting thing when you start opening up your world to people, and people are immensely critical. I remember in one of the early versions of this, I happened to show the bathroom and someone said, "Oh my God, Richard, your bathroom desperately needs attention," as if there was a measure of attention that you're supposed to hit. People can be so critical, can't they? They want you to live by their standards, not your own standards. They don't always know how your life is panning out and the priorities that you've got at any one point in time. And your priorities might change. If you're older, more retired, you don't do a lot of things, maybe your focus is on just the home. If you're young and you are going from job to job and you're moving about, perhaps living in rented accommodation from week to week, month to month, year to year, perhaps you're not so worried. And if, like me, you're in your middle years, shall we say, and you've had a house full of kids and you've been divorced, you've been trying to concentrate on your career, you're trying to ensure that you have some money coming in, but you're also trying to further your art form, discover what life is about, your ideas are changing, mellowing, maturing, then perhaps, you know, the house is not exactly the most important thing at that time. Relationships, career, ideas, traveling, other things might be important. But people are, oh God, are they so critical all the time? It does amuse me. It does amuse me. But yeah, this is it. This is where I snooze. And usually I head off to bed, I don't know, about 10ish, and I am zonked from whatever it is that I've been filming and getting up to that day. And then I'm usually up between 5 and 6 in the morning. In the summer it's earlier, in the winter it's later. It's always harder to get up when it's dark. But that's me, I'm just an early morning person. So the other day, one of my viewers, who's a great chap, Paul Rampton, had got in touch and said, Richard, I watched your video about the Super 8, the Super 8 filming that you'd done. It's something called Plug Your Ears, where I was talking about the amateur group that I work with, and in order to make this sort of slightly bizarre comedy, which I called an Arnold film. And it was about, part of it was this sequence in which some old folk had these nylon stockings over their faces, and there was a bit of a bank heist going on. Well, it was an electrical shop that was had a heist going on, and this hapless character, Arnold, was in the middle of it. Well, Paul came over the other day and he brought with him this special gadget that would encode Super 8 film and turn it into a digital file. It's an amazing little simple apparatus, very reminiscent really of a projector, only it's recording 2 frames a second. Even though the video plays back at 18 frames a second, it's capturing it at 2 frames a second. So it took probably a couple of hours really to go through what was, I think, a 400-foot spool of it. It's about 18 minutes or something in total, the video. Anyway, it was something I did in 1992, and I have now a digital version of it. I'll happily show you some of it, and it's on the screen here. The interesting thing about it, I mean, the quality isn't actually as bad as I thought it might be, so that's quite fun. It's all silent, so what I want to do, if possible, is to go back and recreate all the audio. Now, this is going to be a labour of love. I think it's going to take a while because I've got to view the whole video, go through it, and then sort of list out the things that I need, all the different sound effects. And there's a very early version of me 30 years ago with these massive, great big glasses that I used to wear. Which I still have actually. I wonder if I can get them out this here. Here we go. What about that, eh? These aren't. Now, funny enough, my prescription is still the same as it was back then. It's amazing. I do get my new glasses soon, so next time you see one of these, I should have my new glasses on. But yeah, it's going to be a labour of love putting together all the sound effects on this. I did actually record some music with a dear friend of mine some time ago, but I'm not sure whether or not I will use that music or whether I'll use the library music that I have access to. But yeah, 1992, eh? God, blimey. I'm indebted to Lee Lawson, who, off her own back and of her own volition, she did a bit of research of my house. I don't know whether inspired by these living alone inside this Victorian house, but thank you so much, Lee. And she's produced this document here, which it shows. She's taken it from the various different census that were taken from 1871 onwards. So the house was obviously built between, well, 1860 and 1871, and probably I think about 1870, I think, is the age of my house. I don't have the original deeds, which is a bit of a shame. I would love to have had those. It would have been fascinating. She's also done some bits and bobs of research about the various characters that lived here, and I'll do more about this in a future Living Alone episode. I just wanted to acknowledge, Lee, that you've done it, and that I need to spend some time just going through it. But one of the interesting things, I think, is numbers. And what I mean by that is house numbers. House numbers change, and this can be a bit of a pain when you're doing research and you think, oh yes, this is the number of the house, has it changed? So I remember doing some research on the, let's have a think, the Brighton trunk murderer. Now, I can't remember the date exactly, it was something like 1936 or sometime back then, or 1932, it was some time there, I can't remember the exact date at the moment. And I can't even remember the number of the property, but it was in Kemp Street, where Tony Mancini, who had murdered his girlfriend, put her in a trunk, put the body in a trunk, and carted her across Brighton to his rented basement apartment, and shoved her in this trunk at the end of the bed. And it was in Kemp Street, in one of the houses there. He had some furniture polish or something, and he ladled the corpse with this to try and get rid of the smell, because people were saying there was a dreadful smell coming from his basement. And he said, oh, it's to do with the chemicals for his work, the various furniture polish. Well, all of that, of course, was a lie. Now, in the research, it was suggested that whatever the number was, it's possible that the numbers on the road, the numbers on the houses had changed. And that, of course, can happen. Now, relating to mine, so in other words, you don't always know when you look at the house and you think that's the house the murder took place in. It's not there. I mean, in the case of, say, Fred West, they knocked the house down completely. So if you go back to whatever the road, Cromwell Road, is it? It's no longer there. So notorious houses. But I think sometimes people move into these houses, they don't know what had happened in the past. But nothing dreadful had happened in my house, or as far as I know, in the street. However, my house and the parade of shops, parade of houses that I'm in, this little terrace, was clearly built first before the terrace across the road. And it's possible that although I have a number, obviously, that the numbers here may have been originally sequential. So in other words, starting at 1 and going up to 20s or whatever it is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, of course, this was just land before then, farmland in the Victorian period. And opposite me, there was a wood yard. So that hasn't changed, but then there was another parade a little bit further down. Now, it's not, everything is built at a slightly different time. It's not like new builds today where they go in and buy a great big piece of land and then they just develop it and bang, it's done. Everything took a bit of time and different people bought into different bits of houses and all of that. So Lee had the question of, when she was going through the census, of going, well, is the house that I'm in the same number throughout the time? Was it originally a different number when it was built, and then when they built the houses across the road, did they then do odd even, across opposite each other? So I find that fascinating. So actually what she's come up with is two alternatives for that early part until she knows that the houses across the road were actually built. So I find all of that very fascinating. So thank you, Lee, for doing that. Be interested in what other people think about numbering on houses. It's a great thing. Well, I've had my delivery of logs Saturday, nearly a week ago now, and I've got most of them stacked up. I've got one more bag to stack up, which will probably go on the side of the shed to my left here. Actually, there seems to be a bit of water in the air. I can't believe it. I thought we were supposed to have another hot sunny day, but hey ho. So they're nice. I need to get them covered up if they're going to be if we're going to have any rain. I don't think we are. I think it's just a little bit of moisture in the air. So that's it for this episode. I will no doubt do one of these next week, hopefully, and see what else occurs with my living alone. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to follow, like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.